Afternoon on a train, I only took it because it started to rain. Afternoon in the...
Hey guys, welcome back to my foyer. I'm gonna say entry hall, just simplify it. Welcome back to the entry hall of my new house. Still kind of not fully digested that. My last video I actually filmed in this way just because I love this staircase. It's one of the things that sold me on the house. And if you look on my TikTok or my shorts or Instagram reels, any of the three, you'll see I have videos showing the house before any of the furniture was moved in. I took those videos when they were doing the inspection, but I actually didn't have the time to do like a full, really fun, in-depth YouTube video on an empty house tour. So you're getting a moved-in house tour, temporary places, like things are kind of in the works, really. Furniture is all the same stuff I had at my apartment. I wanted to give you guys a base level of this is where we're starting.
This weather always makes me think about it all. The woman across me, she's wearing a trench coat, a bouquet of roses.
So to start off someplace, this is my foyer. It comes with this beautiful wooden staircase. Honestly, in the pictures when I was looking at it on Zillow, like this staircase is what sold. Come in here and there are two closets, like one large one, which I'm definitely gonna keep, and a smaller one, which I've kind of gone back and forth on because it covers up some of the beautiful staircase woodwork that I love. There's also these beautiful, I think they're white oak floors, and all of this trim work. It's got chestnut trim that is just like beautiful, not in the best shape. This is my entryway. I kind of have my table set up similarly to how I did at my apartment. I have this little runner rug that my aunt and uncle gave me, these beautiful stained glass windows, and I love having the original front door. It's solid wood. It still has a slot for mail, which I think is so cool. And this light, there's no hardwired lighting in this ceiling. The house was built in 1900, so these grates are 123 years old. It's interesting. This is the only one of this design. The others are all a different design, which you'll see as we go through. So we've got grates that need to get cleaned out. I have outlets that are just like, you can see I've taped my air freshener to like stay in it, and it still doesn't really stay in. The outlets are pretty loose. I don't really know how you fix that. I'm having an electrician come by, look over a lot of the electrical work. Yep, so that's the entryway. Now let's get into where these two back doorways go. Through these beautiful, like kind of little French doors is the dining room. And then through this door is actually my kitchen. So we're gonna go to the kitchen first.
I wonder what they're for. A candlelit dinner, a date in the park, a night at the theater, or love in the dark. I don't know where she's going, I don't even know.
Welcome to my kitchen. Well, not really my kitchen, the home of my future kitchen. This is the first floor apartment's kitchen, unit number 1, which is a lot bigger than unit 2. It's a really nice size. Honestly, the kitchen is another thing that really sold me on this house. A lot of times old houses have a lot of small rooms and a lot of like small kitchen. The kitchen also has the door to the back where I park my car. I honestly usually enter through this door, and I think most people who come and visit me, I've had experience with, they enter through that door as well. So this kitchen has this gray tile in it, and I hate it. Sadly, it's laid really well. Whoever laid this tile did a really amazing job, and I wish I liked it. I wish it wasn't like nails on a chalkboard when I look at it, because all I can think when I look, gray box apartment, gray vinyl faux wood flooring. Why would you put a tile version of that in a kitchen with a house that has all these beautiful white oak floors, mahogany strips? Mind-boggling. This kitchen, like most renter kitchens as well, is very much builder grade. I'm gonna take a wild guess and say they did the same thing that I think they did in my last apartment, which is they went one day and like, okay, what's the cheapest color? All right, let's do that. What's the cheapest countertop color? Let's do that. The appliances in this kitchen are actually a little bit nicer. I think they charged a good deal more for this apartment versus the second one. But still like old, there's drawers falling out in this fridge. This is also the only room in the house that has recessed lighting. Everything else is overhead or there's no lighting, you just have to have lamps. And then there's also this vent too. They didn't want to pay to open up the walls because that can get kind of expensive. And so when they were adding the second kitchen upstairs, they just put all the plumbing and electrical and everything that had to go up there in this kind of tube, but it really kind of obstructs the feeling of this kitchen. There's also this little window. I am like in a pretty closely populated area, which means this window looks right into my neighbor's siding. Not a pretty sight. Also, it bothers me so much that this sink isn't centered under the window. I know they did it because they were buying standard sized cabinets, but it drives me crazy. Anyway, that is our first floor kitchen. I don't think there's a whole lot to write home about. I will not be saving most of this. I kind of like the shape of it, but nothing else. All the trim you can see compared to the trim in the other room, simple. They kind of did a little something extra on the baseboard trim, but if you just like see it next to the original trim, it's like, okay, this is nothing really compared to it. So the next thing I'll do is I'll show you my little like back entryway.
I don't know if her life has been a breeze or a hurricane. I don't know if he loves her or if loving him is pain, but I do.
So this is my back little entryway. Actually, has a really cool thing that old houses sometimes have, which is like a root cellar that's actually above. So this opens up, and I'm just using it to store a ton of stuff out here, like just like things that don't need to be kept warm or cold, because this area isn't insulated. A root cellar, you know, you don't need to insulate. This is really cool. I love this. I want to kind of restore it. It's got all this old cabinetry that's no longer lined up, and there's just like these hinges are actually really beautiful, and there's tons of beadboard in here. I really love all the beadboard, and you can see the original clapboard that's on the outside of the house. And then there's also another original door here. I love this backplate. I love the doorknob. I love this door. I want to refinish it. It's a cool little space, and it's the entry point for most people into the house.
You know that our fates have intertwined for a moment on a train. Almost at the downtown stop. I'm already late, but I don't wanna get up. Outside the city's painted gray, but in here a vivid world.
We are now in my living room. So I think how the house was originally designed, this would have been the dining room, and a lot of people, my mom especially, has been like, why is this not the dining room? Because the kitchen is right there. But for me, I'm not gonna be having people over and like eating in my dining room every night. I'm gonna be using my living room every day. And I also really like that I see these three spaces being very kind of fluid, because there's really open archways. Our French doors going into the dining room from both the foyer and the living room, but I keep them open all times. So they're really just archways, so it feels like a very fluid space. It's not like it's a ridiculously long way to go to the dining room. And also, there's no wall to have a TV against. There's tons of windows in this house, which I love, but which also kind of makes it difficult for having a TV, because I don't really want my TV right in front of a window. First off, that blocks the window. Second off, it's terrible light for, like, really difficult to watch a TV, and I just don't like how it looks. So it just doesn't make sense in any way. So this wall is the only real wall on the first floor that you can have a TV against. Again, all this beautiful trim work that sadly has hammers and like nail holes all in it. These beautiful pine floors, white pine floors with mahogany strips that I will eventually refinish. They have a very yellowish look, and that's from the oil-based sealants they used to use. You could still use an oil-based sealant, but it does end up kind of yellowing over time. All of this furniture is from my old place. I hate this fan. I had fans in my old apartment, which you guys saw, and they get dusty. I don't like having them on that much because they tend to make a lot of noise. They're in really good shape, so I'm gonna try to donate them or sell them on Facebook Marketplace, whatever ends up making more sense. This room is pretty well set up. Like I said in the beginning, a lot of my furniture is just kind of plug and go. I'm not 100% sure if all of this is gonna be staying in here or what I'm gonna end up doing. That will be for, you know, a living room makeover at some point. I know I just did one, but that was at my old place. And so another one will be coming eventually. I don't know if it's top priority for me, but it's definitely, oh gosh, it's difficult to prioritize all this stuff because like you want to do it all. Another part of this room, which you can kind of see behind me, is the bathroom that's on the first floor. Something I got lucky of with this being a 2-family is that usually old houses only have 1 bathroom, and it's usually on the 2nd floor. I don't know, to me it feels a little weird to have guests go upstairs to go to the bathroom. Obviously it's not the worst thing, like it's in tons of houses that's just how it is, but I am fortunate that I have a bathroom on the 1st floor. I'm unfortunate that I hate it. I hate how it looks. I hate going in there. There's also a shower in there because it was like a full bath for the 1st unit to use. It needed to obviously be fully functional, couldn't be a half bath. To me, a powder bathroom makes a ton more sense on the 1st floor, but really that's the bathroom that I'm working with down here. There's not really much to show. It's a pretty basic bathroom. I hate the tile in there. I hate kind of most things in there. The mirror is sat weirdly against the right-hand side of the wall, not in front of the sink, which I find just kind of odd. We have some theories about what this room was at one point. I think it maybe have been a little porch, because you can see in the walls that surround it, they put the mirror in where one window used to be. They boarded up another window behind where the shower is now, which you can see on my little back entryway. And then the other window spot is obviously has a window on it. But yeah, it's there. It's a bathroom, it functions, and that's kind of what it is.
World is on display. The man behind me, he carries a suitcase, a custom cut suit, but shadows on his face. Was it just a bad day? Will he laugh when he gets home? Or did it all go astray? And now he sleeps alone. I don't know where he's going. I don't even know his name. I don't know if his life has been a breeze.
So here we are in the dining room. This, you can see the living room is right back through here, and I've got this huge entrance. And I was thinking a lot because most of them have pocket doors. That's a lot of time you have large archways and pocket doors. And this house does not. We have 2 sets of French doors. And so I was like, well, why did they do French doors? But when you look at the wall, actually, you realize that to have it as open as they have it, which is so nice, they couldn't do pocket doors. There's not enough room on either side of that archway to have pocket doors. It's smaller than the living room, and it doesn't get as much natural light. As you can see, it's like a good deal. I mean, you can see how bright it is back there. There's 3 pretty large windows that are right on the street that let in a ton of light. I am on a corner lot, so that kind of increases the amount of light that's able to come in. I've got a house next to me this way, but no house next to me that way, or obviously a house in front. So I have the dining room table that was at my old place that was kind of shut in the corner. It's not something I think I'm gonna have long term here, but it works for now. As you can kind of see, there's like a door behind me that I'm actually not gonna be taking you guys in there because it'll give away some of the projects I'm working on in the future, and I don't want to spoil anything. But I'll let you know kind of what's back there. The house used to have a wraparound front porch, and for some reason they enclosed a portion of it. It's not insulated. There's a light switch out there, but the light does not work. So that's one thing. It's really just supposed to be used for storage. That's what I'm using it for now, and it's been helpful to keep things from getting too cluttered in here. Because the house isn't that big. It's around 2,300 square feet. It could get pretty cluttered pretty quickly if I just had everything for all my projects out and about. And the doorway is there because in a lot of old houses, you actually had 2 kind of points of entry on a porch. You had one, your front door on the front of it, and like a side door on the side. You might also see my desk that I had in my old study. I was planning on having it up in my new study, but my doorway was too small to fit it. So the movers brought it up there. We realized it wouldn't fit, and then we're like, oh, so now I've got to find another desk, which you guys will see in a second. I haven't bought a whole lot of furniture for this place, but there are a few things that I'll kind of point out. But yeah, I'm really excited to eventually turn that back into a wraparound porch, but for now, it's storing all my secrets. This room, like the living room and the front hall, all have this beautiful cedar trim. It's in not as good of shape, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep it kind of in its stained wood fashion. Some of it might need to be painted because it really doesn't look good right now how it is. I will say it looks a lot better in pictures. People like see it in pictures, or I would send my friends pictures and like, no, you have to keep the trim, you have to keep the trim. It's like so beautiful. It's like, well, I'm definitely keeping the trim. It's whether I'm keeping it stained or painted, because they're like, no, you can't paint it, you can't paint it. And then they come and visit the house and be like, oh, I kind of see what you're saying with the trim. Yeah, it did look like it was in a lot better shape in the pictures. I think part of that is because it's dark. Cameras just aren't as good as picking up on differences and darker variations. You just can't see as much of the damage. This room also has my other stained glass window. I wish every room in this house had stained glass windows. I appreciate the ones that are here and I'm gonna treasure them. I just love it, especially when the sun's coming through. It just is gorgeous. Broadly, if it's old, it's getting saved. The only time I'm gonna get rid of something if it's like really bad shape, and even then I want to try to restore them. My mom is like, thinks I'm crazy of like, just get a new thing, just get a new thing, but I really want to keep the character in this house. It's why I love it. It's why I think you guys will love it, and so I don't plan on doing anything that could kind of jeopardize that. So now let's move it upstairs. So we'll go back through these little French doors that I showed you guys and we'll head upstairs.
Breeze or hurricane, I don't know if he's happy or if all he knows is pain, but I do know that our fates have intertwined for a moment on a train. How many timelines collide inside these walls? How many good times?
We are now upstairs in the second floor. Right behind me, you can kind of see there's a little bit of not just plaster showing. This is actually where they originally separated the unit. It was the entire first floor and these front 2 bedrooms as the first unit, and then it was the back of the second floor for the second unit. So that kind of gives you an idea. The first unit was a lot bigger and cost a lot more to rent. This door right next to me that doesn't have a doorknob that I have to use this little key to open it actually goes up into the attic, which will be the last thing I'm showing you guys today. This is right at the top of the stairs. This hallway and this area, obviously you're seeing it during the day. It's so dark at night because there's no overhead lighting. There's no overhead lighting in the front hall downstairs, and there's no overhead lighting in this hallway up here. And so at night, it's so dark. You'll see I just have like lamps on the ground that I turn on, light it up. One of the big frustrations I find in a lot of these rooms are there's no overhead lighting, and so like, especially coming up the stairs, it just kind of makes it a little bit dangerous. I just do not like not having any overhead lighting that I can flip a switch on, or really having any lighting. There's no switches in up here in this hallway to turn on any electricity because there's no outlets really in the hallway. That is one of my first things that I'm having the electrician do, is we're putting overhead lighting in up here. If we go into the first room, which is my study, and I'm just gonna preface this room with a bit of a warning of, it's my dumping ground. It's definitely not in the best shape. It's functional enough for me as it is, but in no way is it like final at all. It's pretty high up on my list. I want to do something in it. The floors actually, you know what? I'm prefacing it just so you guys know this is a real house that a real person lives in, and not everything is like beautiful and perfect all the time, especially when you're starting renovation stuff. So hopefully you're not too harsh on me.
Tear-soaked phone calls, decades of living, a multiverse ballet. But the earth just keeps spinning, and tomorrow all of these seats will be filled with new faces. Anyway, they won't know where I'm going. They won't even know.
This is the study. It is the smallest technical bedroom in the house. It's got a cute little closet, which I'm not gonna open because it's full of stuff. The floors in here are actually Douglas fir. Most of the rest of the house has white pine floors. These floors in here are Douglas fir, and they are also Douglas fir floors out in the hallway up here. Part of that is they're cheaper. Douglas fir is cheaper. These are still original to the house. They got kind of marketed, interestingly, to housewives. They had this thing where, because Douglas fir is softer, it's one of the reasons cheaper, that a woman who's working in the kitchen all day, it's softer on her and it's easier for her. So interesting little kind of fun facts. These floors are in the worst shape of the entire house, like by far the worst. They were covered up when it was a rental with a carpet. This side of the room they had like built up with a mixture of plaster and plywood, particle board. It was very weird. My dad and I, he helped me pull it up, and we found out that the Douglas fir actually continues all the way, because I was thinking I was gonna have to replace the floors in here. But I'm gonna try to refinish them. My mom actually, interestingly enough, who's not usually into this type of stuff, is like, I wanna try to sand those floors. I really wanna try to get at those floors. That will definitely be something that's coming up sooner rather than later. But there's also a section of the floors that need to be like patched in. They cut out the floor to fix something at some point. I don't know what it was, or they just put plywood over top of it. And so I have one of my dressers over it. The reason that they actually used all of that like kind of scrap wood and plaster or like joint compound, I'm not really sure what it was. They did that so that when they put the carpeting down, it would all be flat and even. That's because this, where you see this line right here, Along here is where the foundation under the house ends. This front part of the room is actually sitting on top of my porch, which doesn't have a solid foundation. Obviously it's solid, like it's not going anywhere, but just in old houses, even if I had the floors redone, re-brought up, if I didn't lay foundation under this portion, it would always sag. I'm kind of just embracing it. I don't really want to put new floors in here. It doesn't really bother me that it slopes down slightly. It's just going to happen with old houses. It's an aspect of them. This room also has these awful little windows, and the original trim is gone. I think the trim is the way it is because they cheaped out on the windows. So instead of buying a custom size window, they just got a standard size, but it didn't match what was already in there. So you have to take that trim out and just like a basic trim. Obviously it's expensive to put really nice trim. Cheaper, just tell your contractor to, like, you know, put some boards out, slap them on, and that's fine. This is my desk. I got off Facebook Marketplace. I told you I couldn't fit my big desk up here. And it's kind of, if you want to get an idea of the design inspiration that's going to be for this room, this desk really fits it. I'm not gonna get too into detail on that because that'll just spoil another video. It's really interesting to think about. This house is 123 years old. The house isn't as much a part of my story as I'm a part of its story, and I just want to restore it and try to bring it back to its former glory the best I can. So it's really about honoring its history and honoring that it will have a legacy beyond me. Saying all that, let's move into the guest room, which I'm actually using as my bedroom right now.
My name. They won't know if my life has been a breeze or a hurricane. They won't know that I sit here writing verses of their pain, but they will know that our fates have intertwined for a moment on a train.
This is my guest bedroom. Currently it's being used as my master bedroom, and this room is by far the room with the best light in it. It's got 3 large windows that kind of sit on the corner of the house, and so no matter the time of day, there's always light coming in here. This is the room I'm using right now, and this bed is a bed you guys actually haven't seen. It was my first bed that I got from my grandparents' house. It's a temporary position because there's going to be a different bed going in here, but I don't have a box spring for it yet, so I have to get that. But for right now, it functions, it works. It's got the dresser that was from my other guest room. It's got the rug that was in my other guest room. It's got the chair. It's really a lot, all the furniture that was in there. It also has a closet. It's a closet that's a good deal bigger than the closet in the other room. This room definitely functions the best. It's also the only room, just the only bedroom up here that has a light switch that connects to a light. It's a terrible looking sconce light that I hate, but it is still a light. So I have to like kind of give it that. I really use the table side lamp the most. But yeah, so this is that room. There's not a whole lot to say about this room. It's got the white oak floors that are in okay shape. All the floors in this entire house are gonna need to be refinished because it's been a while since they've done that, and I also just don't really love the color. For now, they're perfectly functioning. Out of all the rooms upstairs, this is the one that has the most intact trim. So it's got all the trim around each of these windows. It's got almost all the trim around all the baseboards. There's just one little section here that doesn't match up. And it's got all the trim around the doorways. It's got the original doorways. Interestingly enough, I think this trim, even though it's painted over, is actually in better shape than the trim downstairs. Because for some reason, people decided to put the curtain rods, nail them or drill them into the trim rather than around it or above it. That was not the case. As somebody who loves trim and loves old houses and wants to keep as much of their history as possible, it's frustrating because it's so much easier to patch a wall than it is get wood trim look really good with patches in it. Not to get hung up on that, but this trim up here is in wonderful shape, so it's got that going for it. So let's move from here, which is going to be the guest room, even though I'm using it right now as my master, to what's going to be the master bedroom. This is what's going to be my master bedroom. It is just a bit bigger than the other room. It's also got really good natural light, not as good as the guest room based on where the windows are in position to the sun, but it does have pretty good light most of the day. It's not as good in here, especially now because I've got my mattress and stuff pushed up again there because they're actually going to be doing some demo on this doorway. Sad thinking of the trim in here versus the trim in the guest room because they took all of the original trim out of here, except for on the baseboards, but all of the window trim is gone. It makes me really sad. It also makes me sad to think about how much I'm gonna have to pay to get a knife made so that there's matching trim all throughout this house. In no way am I keeping it looking like that. Moving on to happier things, we have original closet door on here with the original faceplate and doorknob. There's actually no door here. What I was saying earlier is this back part is was the second unit. I opened up the wall, but because it was like just a 1-bedroom with the kitchen and the bathroom, there's not a door on the kitchen. I think they kind of treated it more like a studio. I'm not really sure why they did that, but I'll have to be getting a door to replace it because obviously I want a door on my master bedroom. It's got the white oak floor like they have downstairs and in the guest bedroom. It's got still all the trim around the doorways, which is really nice. What this room has that no other room up here will have, kind of obviously, is this actually has an entrance to the outside. To add a doorway, obviously, so that somebody could access the second unit. This is where the doorway is right now, and it's the first thing that's being taken care of. It's locked right now, no one can get in, but I'm going to be actually just closing this wall entirely up. Thought about doing a window, but there's already so many windows in this house, and it's kind of just nice to like have more places for art. That's something I haven't touched on. If you saw my apartment tour, you'll remember that I had art everywhere. I did not get rid of my art. I still want to have art everywhere. I just haven't hung it all up yet. I've been moving in, like I said, and they're gonna be doing some demo, and I really don't want anything to get damaged. So all of my art is in that little side, like closed-in porch area that I talked about that's off of the dining room. That'll be something that I kind of tackle going forward once the demo is taken care of, because it really doesn't feel like my home without my art on the walls. It's been very weird having such plain walls. So yeah, this is the doorway to the second floor. This was maybe a window at some point. It was something, because there's trim here. That's original trim. So there's no original trim around the windows in this room, but there's original trim around the door that they added. And I don't know if they took trim from the windows to do that. I don't know. I really don't know what they did. Took it from somewhere, or something was already here. There's no like lines where it like was seamed up, and the windows weren't this tall. So I've been really questioning like, where did this trim come from? Was there like another window here originally? I don't know, but it's interesting, and obviously I'll be saving that trim. The less trim I have to buy, the better. So that is the master bedroom, just like the other bedrooms up here. There's no overhead lighting. There's a switch that turns on one of these outlets that I can't figure out because half the outlets in this house don't actually work. This room is going to be really beautiful. I'm lucky rooms up here need more cosmetic changes, and that's really what I was looking for when I was looking at houses, of like, I don't want to be doing a whole lot of structural changing. So yeah, that's the end of the bedrooms. This house has 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. It's also 2 kitchens. So that's what we're going to get into next, which is the kitchen that I'm actually using right now, and kind of explain why I'm doing that. And this is another one of those rooms where I'm like, please don't judge me on it, because I'm functioning out of it. So let's just get into the second kitchen.
Afternoon on a train, I only took it because it started to rain. Afternoon.
So this is my kitchen. As you can see, its countertops are pretty full. So don't judge me. I am not used to not having a dishwasher. My last 2 apartments and my parents' house all had them, and so I kind of get behind it, like, oh yeah, I can just throw those dishes in the dishwasher. There's just some plates. And then I'm like, oh wait, I don't have a dishwasher. I have to wash them by hand, and then I have to put them in the dryer. So I got my dish rack full of clean dishes that need to dry, and a few dishes in my sink that I wasn't able to get. But yeah, this is the kitchen up here. Like I said, it's in worse shape than the kitchen downstairs. It's again all the builder grade materials, kind of a little tiny stove, an oven, a smaller fridge, but there's kind of little bar seating over here, and I've got all my appliances, pictures of my family. The floor in here is a tile that I hate that's kind of coming up. I have a little rug that was actually from my aunt and my uncle that kind of just adds a little bit of warmth and makes it a little easier on my joints when I'm like doing dishes. Interestingly enough, if you saw my apartment tour, I have my Hoboken apartment, which was the last place I was living before here. I think I maybe had the same amount of cabinetry there and like storage, because I really added added a lot of storage to that kitchen that was not originally there. If we're talking sheer cabinet sizes, I really didn't downgrade at all coming here, even though this room is obviously a lot smaller. I also have the cat's food bowls in here. There is original trim around this door, but none of the rest is original trim. There is the original grate, and this is what all the grates in all of the rooms look like. And the heating system in this house is pretty efficient, actually. There's not really a whole lot to say about this room. It's fine. It's obviously, I'm not going to keep 2 kitchens in this house forever. What I do end up doing with this room, though, I will not spoil for you. That will be a whole video series in and of itself. But yeah, this is the kitchen that I'm functioning out of because I'm going to be redoing the kitchen downstairs pretty soon. But with that, there's only 2 rooms left in the whole house that I haven't shown you, well, including the basement, but the basement is nothing special. It's a basement, so you're not seeing that. So we'll get into the other bathroom, which is the one I'm really using most of the time.
Afternoon in the fall, this weather always makes me think about it all. The woman across me, she's wearing a trench coat, a bouquet of roses.
So this is the bathroom. It's pretty small, and I can't even have the light on in here because the light and the fan always go at the same time, and I don't want you guys having to hear that. There's a little window in here. This is the shower that I use for the most part. I hate this tile. I hate the tile on the floor. Again, sadly, it was laid really well, which makes me feel a little bit bad about tearing it up eventually, but you gotta do what you gotta do. My sink has very little storage space. I have to use the top of my toilet to store, and I've got like my least favorite thing that I was hoping when I moved I could get rid of, but I have to use it for bathroom storage. It's got the grate. It's got original trim around the grate, actually, and it has original trim around the door, but none of the rest of the trim in here is original. It's got this beadboard, which I really think wasn't original, but I actually really love and want to try to incorporate at some point into another bathroom. I actually don't mind this faucet. It kind of has like an old style look that I like. I don't really like silver, so we'll see what I end up doing with that. This room is fine. Again, it's functional, kind of similar to the kitchen of like, this is not going to be like this forever, but it works for now. So with this, we'll get into our last room, which is the attic.
I wonder what they're for. A candlelit dinner, a date in the park, a night at the theater, or love in the dark. I don't know where she's going. I don't even know her name. I don't know if her life.
All right, so this is my attic. This is the last room in the house. You can see the chimney is in here. The chimney that goes through the whole house is the only spot that you really like see it in person. It's got 1 really big window and 2 larger windows, plus this. It's got 5 windows up here. I don't know what I was thinking, 4. 5 windows up here. One of them is like a specialty window that I have to have the glass replaced on. It is missing a pane that I just have like covered with a piece of cardboard right now. But this room has really, really great space for an attic because it's an old house. It's got all these like dormers, which make the roofing itself really complicated, but makes this attic like feel huge. For the most part, it's just plywood laid down here. They have some like kind of original wood flooring that I don't know if it was originally in the rest of the house or what they ended up doing. They have insulation laid on the floor. Eventually, I want to do spray foam insulation to really seal it in. And something I didn't know about, and you probably won't know unless I point it out to you, but you can see the original shingles. But yeah, so this room is kind of just a bundle of potential. It's nice because it has a set of stairs and a door at the bottom, so it could be turned into a really large master suite with a bathroom and a closet and obviously a bedroom. It could be just an office, it could be a kid's playroom. It's the lowest thing down on my priority list because there's a whole lot of house that needs work and this just isn't, you know, like I said, a priority. But it's definitely really cool to be able to think about this space and the potential of it. At the very least, use it for storage once it's cleaned up. And once I open up that porch, like there's just not gonna be any other storage really. So yeah, that's kind of what this room is. With that, I kind of want to end this video here. So this is the tour of my 123-year-old house, built in 1900. It's coming on 124 years old. I really, really appreciate you guys spending the time and like seeing the house, and I'd love to know your thoughts on the different rooms. If you have a favorite one. I know I kind of flip-flop. I think maybe the guest room is my favorite just because of the lighting and it's the most finished. Which is good because that's where I'm spending like a lot of my time right now. But I'm just really, really happy with this house, and I'm so excited to get started on projects for you guys and for me. So you'll be seeing a video coming from me next week. I'm not 100% sure what one that'll be right now. And so you'll see a video coming from me next week, kind of doing some maintenance stuff and just showing you a little bit more of the house, and kind of really talking about what it takes to take care of a house and all the little things that you don't necessarily want to do. Thanks so much, guys, for making it to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, really appreciate it. If you liked and subscribed, let me know if you have a favorite room in the house. Mine is definitely the guest room, but I'd be curious to know what you guys think. If you have any ideas, any recommendations, if any of you have an old house. Obviously, this is my first time. So a lot of it, I'm just kind of doing a lot of research online, taking advice from my parents who have a house, and any piece of advice I can get, I'll take. So if you have any advice for me, I'd really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next. But with that, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
They won't know where I'm going. They won't even know my name. They won't know if my life has been a breeze or hurricane. They won't know that I sit here writing verses of their pain. But they will know that our fates have intertwined for a moment on a train.